it's Ellen here at Yarn Doc, and I have a yarn review today. It's Monday, so of course I have a yarn review. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. I do yarn reviews every Monday. Every Wednesday, I do what I call Whipping It Up Wednesday, where I talk about my current projects, what's been finished, what's still going on, whatever the week had brought. And then on Fridays, I do something different. So today we are going to talk about a cotton sock yarn that I bought from Temu. This came as just one ball, just one ball. And it's supposed to be 80% acrylic, 20% cotton. It has a nice squish factor, very squishy. Sort of a silky softness in the ball, but there is just a hint of roughness that makes me think the worked up fabric might have a touch of that raw or rougher cotton. So this has been approved by the EU responsible person. And so that means that there's somebody who is responsible to check before it comes in to the EU that it is what it says it is. Do things fall through the cracks? Yes. But with that seal on the product, you're much more likely to have the product as it says. Often when you get yarn from Temu that doesn't have a ball band or that plain white ball band, it's because there was information on the ball band that was found to be inaccurate and therefore it was removed. This does have a ball band. Most of it is in Chinese. And so I'm not able to read it. It is not a language I have access to. But I can read the washing, and that is in English. It says washing way. And so 30 degrees, lie flat to dry, all the standard washing instructions that we see. I have not really any more. I have the listing for it here in front of me, and I don't really have any more information on the listing. The vendor for this was Cloud Wool, cloud like in the sky and wool, and nothing about meterage. It's supposed to be a 50-gram ball. I will weigh that and make sure that it is indeed 50 grams, but nowhere am I finding anything else on the website or on the ball. So I will work this up and we'll wash it and dry it as I always do, even though it says not to. I know it says not to. Though I think with a cotton acrylic blend, I should be able to put it in the dryer. We'll find out. And I will make something and then I'll talk about the experience. So I will be right back with you.
As usual, I've worked up 3 samples. We have 3 granny squares that have all been done at the same time with the same hook, with the same number of rows. And I will measure them. Let's see here. Okay, so we're just at about 8.5 centimeters. Let's make sure they're all, 8.5 and 8.5. So we've got 3 identical granny squares. This one I will leave just as it is, fresh off the hook, and this one I'll put in the washer, and this one I'll put in the washer and dryer, and we'll see what happens. I will remind you that the washing instructions on the yarn are hand wash, lie flat to dry. But I always do this little experiment to see what happens if we don't follow the directions on the yarn. We're rule breakers around here. Scientists, that's what we are. I'll hold it up here so you can see. With this strong variegation, you're not seeing much stitch definition. It's not that the yarn itself doesn't show the anatomy of the stitches well, but it is being masked a little bit by the colorway and the way in which the variegation works up. It was very nice yarn to work with, didn't split at all, moves smoothly on the hook. It has a very sleek sort of feel to it, and so it glided nicely on the hook. I enjoyed working with it. I have completed the finished object. I was concerned. I made a hair bandana. Let's see if I can get a little more of it in here. And part of the reason I made a hair bandana, I know I've been making a few hair things lately, but I was concerned that I wouldn't have enough yarn to do something else. Now, I did have enough, and I did have some left over, which was good. But I was thinking, okay, I'll do the hair bandana, and if I run out, I can do a white border or or something like that on it. I actually didn't put any border on this because the way in which the colorway worked up, I didn't think you were seeing the design of it. Like, this is a solid closed double crochet bandana with open rows every fourth row, but I'm not even sure you're really able to see the open rows in the design of it. It comes off a little bit better on the camera than it does in person. So I thought the colorway was pretty worked up, but I think you need to pick something very, very plain. This is not something you're going to use with texture or lace work or anything like that. It is the colorway that's going to shine. I think it will look lovely knitted as socks, and that is the kind of yarn that it claims to be. It claims to be sock yarn. It is an unusual makeup for sock yarn, being that it's a cotton acrylic blend. That's unusual. The typical sock blend is a wool nylon blend. So there is that. It does have quite a bit of stretch in the yarn itself, and so for socks, that element of it would be good. I'm not sure that I have very much left that I could knit with, but I could try and do up a knitted sample. I will play with it and see what I get to. If the next thing you see is a knitted sample, you know I was successful. I'm going to go put these in the washer and dryer and see what I can do about a knitted sample. Washed, dried, blocked, all of that good stuff. And now it's time to measure and see what effects, if any, the washer and dryer had on their measurements. And I can say that the washing and drying have had no effect on the color, that the color is color fast on this. And so this is our one that was hot off the hook, just under 9 centimeters there. Just under 9 centimeters. And so this is the one that was in the washer. This is the one I have to be careful not to hit the tripod with, but it is also just under 9 centimeters. And this one is also just under 9 centimeters. Yeah. Maybe a little bit. Let's see if I do it corner to corner. No, they look pretty much the same there, laid on top. Not much difference in the softness between washed and dried. We've got a little bit more flounce in the one that came out of the dryer. And so that is the information as for my sample. I probably, well, it depends on what was made out of it, whether I'd put it wash or dryer. But I wouldn't be too fussy about it myself. And I did. Now, no judgments here, people. This is literally my very first stockinette ever. But I did do a little knit sample so that you would see what that colorway looked like, knitted as well as crocheted. So you'll remember what it looked like crocheted up in the headpiece that I did. And this is what it looks like knitted. You get sort of this cool zigzag pattern. So it could be very cool, very interesting for socks or something like that. But I did want to work up that colorway because I think it was designed with knit in mind. So that's my little sample. You will see this again if you're following along on my knitting journey when that comes out, because as I said, that's me learning to stockinette. But I will be right back with you to wrap this all up and let you know my final grade for this yarn. So, cotton sock yarn, what do we think? I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised by this one. When I picked it, I really was not expecting good things, great things. And yet, every step of the process, I felt like it did very well. It's fairly affordable. It's not the cheapest thing out there. It's not the most expensive. It is an unusual makeup for sock yarn. I will say that. So on that part, I don't know how it would do for durability with socks, but it does have a nice stretch to it. It feels strong, but soft at the same time. Sometimes you sort of feel like you have to choose between soft and strong. And here I didn't feel that way. It washed and dried well. It kind of looks pretty cool crocheted as well as knit. The design worked for both, and that is not always true with some of these yarns. I think it was definitely designed for a knit sock, for the design to come out in that sort of stockinette way, but it still works up in an interesting color pooling way when crocheted. Now, I would also stick with a fairly basic crochet stitch with it because everything else, all the detail of any sort of fancy stitching or pattern or texture or that is going to be lost in the busyness of the yarn pattern itself, of the colorway. But that is true of any kind of variegated yarn like this, though it does limit it a little bit more, right? Makes it a little less versatile for what you can use it for. I only had one skein and I'm not holding it right now because I've used all of it. I have none left. I knitted the rest of it up and is gone. So it didn't really go that far. I've got about this much knit. I have the bandana and the 3 granny squares. That's what I'm trying to remember to say. So it's not great as far as meterage goes. So there's a little bit of cost benefit, but it is soft. I have no problem with this. Like, it's touching my ears, it's touching the back of my neck because of the shape I made this bandana. I have no problem with it, and I have fairly sensitive skin. I was just wearing one of my other makes around my neck, and I'm still itching from it. So the fact that I can have this on what I consider to be sensitive parts of my body with no, like I don't even really sort of feel that it's there. That's a big thumbs up for me. Would I buy it again? I would. I would buy it again if I had a project that I wanted to do sort of basic, mindless. It's the kind of thing that, because it is cotton, I could see as a fun sort of summer knit top. You know, I always think that these kinds of yarns are good for somebody who is just learning because it was easy. It worked well on both my needles and my hook. No splitting issues that really to speak of. But it was soft, unlike most cottons. There was none of that sort of fighting me on it. And the colorway does a lot of work. So if you're learning to knit like I am, I was still getting sort of a fun pattern working in stockinette, so it didn't become so monotonous, you know, just doing the basic stitches again and again and again, because I was watching this color pattern come out as I was doing it, and I just sort of wanted to keep going. I didn't intend to do the whole ball. I have nothing to do with this little piece of fabric, but I was enjoying it and I was learning, so I just kept working on it. So I think there are a lot of real positives to this yarn, and so surprisingly to myself, I am going to give this yarn an A. I'm surprised, but it was, yeah. I don't have a lot of negatives to say about the yarn other than it's not so versatile because of the colorway. It's a good price. It works well. It feels good. Can't complain. So that's all I have to say. I know you're used to me being harsh and critical, but this one snuck up on me, surprised me there. But yes, an A yarn from Temu, and I will. I'm sure I have remembered to put the posting up again so that you can see where it was that I bought it from, because there's so much on there, and many things look alike and are not, and then many things you think you're buying something different and you end up buying the same thing. That's happened. I reviewed the same wool twice and only realized halfway through the second review that this was the same as I had just reviewed. So that does happen. Anyway, if you found this review helpful at all, I would really appreciate it if you'd give it a like. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that. Both of those things are free. They're not going to cost you anything, and they do help me out quite a bit. If you would like to see more reviews, I do post a review every Monday. Hit the notifications so you'll be sure to not miss any. And that's all I have to say. If you have any questions, pop them in the comments. I always answer the comments. And I hope to see you next week. Thanks for watching.